Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Final Flight podcast. We are returning for a little bit of a cheeky Sandown preview. It's obviously a little bit of the flat, but it's the jumps finale at Sandown. Lads, it's the it's the big push for the trainers' title, although it looks like it's pretty much sewn up, barring an absolute miracle this weekend for Willie Mullins, which is crazy. Shows that UK racing is completely on its ass, but it does look a great card. It's great to have a few of these big classes. Rich, it's been a great few days. Are you looking forward to the weekend? Let me know what we've been up to.
Yeah, it's been good. You know, Green on Guerrero, who we're quite well associated with, are doing quite well. So we're all buzzing for them. Like you say, jumps finale at Sandown means the flat is going to be in full flow very shortly. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Good man, yeah. I mean, Green on Guerrero absolutely flying at the moment. Plenty of winners flowing in. They're absolutely peaking at the moment. Joe, I mean, it's a great weekend's racing with a great few days. I feel like you've not been too well, though, have you, pal? How are you feeling? I'm glad you've managed to make it on this time. Anyway.
No, mate, I'm getting a bit better. I've had tonsillitis being thrown up and stuff, but having a bit of a rest, and then checking Racing Post and seeing we've got some jumps racing and some good flat racing mixed together, and then looking at the results on the days and having texts off you lads saying get in, boom, winner, Green on Guerrero flying. So to be fair, it has been a great end of midweek start going into the weekend. So fingers crossed we can see some more good results and watch some top quality racing.
Correct, mate. Yeah, like I say, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better, and it's good that you've managed to make it on. Obviously, we had a really good podcast last time, didn't we, Rich? We managed to land a few winners at Aintree, and it was a decent weekend. Joe, you obviously went and had a good weekend, but obviously Sandown now brings the jumps in the UK to an end. We do have a Punchestown. We'll have loads of Punchestown stuff next week. We'll get all that organised and sorted up on Twitter and stuff, and obviously it's going to be the Guineas weekend for a big flat kick-off. And then we've got loads of other shows to come and loads of other little surprises that hopefully we'll manage to pull off. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Right, that's enough about that. Obviously, we're going to roll into tomorrow's racing. We've got a few... Rich has told me there's some nice group racing on tomorrow at Sandown. So we're going to kick us off. And I'm assuming Rich has got a good winner for us here. But the 225, it's the Gordon Richards Stakes. Now, this is a Group 3 over 1 mile, 2 furlongs at Sandown. Good ground. The boys are back, Ryan Moore, Jim Crowley, etc. Rich, you must be chomping at the bit to get stuck into these races. What are your thoughts, mate? Let us know.
I think it's quite a tricky Group 2, actually, this one.
It's definitely a tricky Group 2 because it's a Group 3.
It's not a Group 2, isn't it?
Group 3, I've got you.
Group 3, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Good start, Mr. Flat.
A tricky Group 3. Yeah, I mean, you've got Desert Hero and Eokem third in the St. Ledger. I'd be quite concerned that he's stepping back in trip. I think it's 1 mile 1. The Ledger's, I think, 1-4. That would be a concern potentially, unless it potentially got really soft. I think it's about good, isn't it? Good ground. I think they're expecting tomorrow. So,
yeah,
I'd be on the side of caution with that one. Looking at the betting, that Okie Chobi, is it?
Oh, here we go. So the flat's not even started,
yeah,
and we're already mispronouncing and butchering names. Should we give it a go? I've got this down as Okeechobee.
Yeah, that's not a bad effort.
I'll go with that.
I mean, they're the one at the back, and he's into 5-2 on 365. Opened at 5s. He is probably the one that's least exposed. Ryan Moore and Balls a positive booking. It's very tricky. I mean, Flying Honours was entered in the Dante last year, and he finished lame. It's quite interesting that connections are sticking with him. I mean, he's a 4-year-old now, so I think he could run an interesting race if he's up for it. It's very tricky. I'm going to have a little punt on the Beckett horse, Artistic Star, I think. He's an each way sort of price is about 14s, I think, but he was running some good races last year. I mean, he finished 4th at Goodwood in the Gordon Stakes behind Desert Hero. That was over 1 mile 3. He finished 3rd in Royal Ascot, which was won by King of Steel. Continuous was in 2nd, who won with St. Ledger. Again, that was over 1 mile 3. So he's dropping back in trip. He's been gelded. He has won over the distance at Sandown. That was a novice stakes. I just think potentially he could outrun his odds. So in a trappy Group 3, I'm going to have a chance at him. And if he can get 3 places, even better.
I like it, mate. I mean, like I say, from my point of view, you know, I've always said I'm very much the jumps man, and I tried my best to get stuck into the flat last year and kind of took a lot of advice from you guys, and you do have a hell of a lot of knowledge. So if you are listening, these two lads are definitely worth a follow over me. I'd say I might land one every now and then, but these two are the ones to be with. Joe, what are your thoughts on what Rich has just said, and have you managed to have a look at the race? What are you thinking to get stuck in, mate?
It is tough. I agree with Rich. It's so trappy. I mean, Desert Hero looks to have the best form as of last season, but not over this trip at all. You know, I can't have him at all at 1 mile 2 here. Isra wasn't, you know, ran at Doha come 9th of 11. It was a pretty contested race. Rebels Romance won that one. Has pretty good form last year. Got beat by Al Karim by 3 1/4 lengths at Ascot on his last UK start. The one that did catch my eye was the Okeechobee, to be honest. I only put £10 on at 10-3. Since the money has flown in, obviously he had a long break, missed all of 2023. Like Rich said, Ryan Moore was a massive jockey booking. And coming second behind Dubai on who was rated, I believe, was it £8 or something more?
Rated 120, I think, Dubai, or somewhere around there.
Yeah, and he made Dubai on a work for it. I know he won by 3 lengths and he did assert himself at the end, but I can sort of let Okeechobee off with that completely after him being off for a full season. And it has sort of been very interesting to see the money come from him. If I wasn't one at a big price, to be fair, I would have sided with the one Rich said, Artistic Star. He's been gelded since his layoff. He has been running at 1 mile 4. Obviously, he was against Continuous at York before he won the Ledger at Doncaster. He ran some good races. The slight drop back in trip last time, he raced at 1 mile 2. He won at Sandown, and he won quite comfortably, to be fair. So I think the step back in trip will suit. 14-1 is a good price. However, the one thing that's sort of knocking me with this race is there's only 2 places. Everything around the top of the market, for me anyway, Israel's pretty short. Okeechobee is short now. Desert Hero's just below the each way price, so you wouldn't be backing him each way. So, well, for me, I would nail my close to Okeechobee, but not one I'd be going mad into. But you know, we could wake up tomorrow and he could be 7-4, and he could be one of the best winners of the day. You just don't know. But yeah, I will go with Okeechobee.
Nice one, lads. I like that. So it's Okeechobee, Artistic Star. I mean, for me, obviously being a bit of a beginner in the flat, but not a beginner, but you know what I mean. I tend to stick with horses that have had a run, bit of fitness behind them in these sort of races. So, I mean, he's the favourite, Okeechobee, but he probably will now have a tentative side on with what you guys have said there as well. I think, like I say, Ryan Moore, best jockey going over here, and I think it's got a good chance. So yeah, I'll stick with him. I'll side towards that one, I think. Love it. Right, here we go then. The 3 o'clock Sandown. It's the Bet3 6 Mile. This is a group 2 now, Rich. Let's got these mixed up. Good ground. Nostrum returns again. Ryan Moore, same connections. Same owner as the Okeechobee. Chan, Sylvester de Souza, who started pretty well since come back from the old problems in Japan or whatever it was. Lord North in here, William Buick. Pokerface, Flight Plant, Pogo, Witch Hunter. I'll come to you this time, Joe. I like looking at Nostrum last year. Won some decent races. Do you think he can back it up off a break?
Yeah, I did, mate. I really liked him, and to be fair, he was one of my strong bets at York. When Ryan Moore sort of knew early on that he wasn't travelling well. I think he just come round the bend, the home straight, which is pretty longish at York, and coming round the bend, he looked beat. I think Ryan gave him a bit of a shake, and that was his race finished. You look at the race before that at Goodwood, it was soft ground. He had to make his own run in. He'd only had one run that season at Newmarket before, but he won that very well, beating Investor. Another sort of like the last horse in the Judmont colours. This horse could be anything. We could see this horse come out and absolutely smash him. The same way we could come out and he could drop off like he did at York. The one I would side with here would probably be Sharon. Sylvester de Souza's flying. I just really like the way he won at Doncaster. I thought he won it very easily. And after having that sort of prep run over 1 mile, I think it's perfect. Good ground shouldn't have a problem with that. There's a few in here for me which do have question marks. Lord North, getting old now, 8-year-old, Poker Face. He was pretty, he was highly tried last season. Although he was winning, I don't think his form was top level. But you just don't know. Paul going there, I pretty liked him last season, even though he was on and off. But one for me, I would say Sharon looks a different animal this year, 4-year-old. He looks a lot better as a 4-year-old, a lot bigger. He's rated 114, the same as Nostrum, and he's had a prep run at Doncaster where he won pretty well. I'd probably side with Sharon, to be honest.
Let's taste of that. I mean, I'll come to you, Rich, obviously. I mean, Nostrum has done pretty well fresh the last couple of seasons. Shireen's obviously had a run. Are you siding with either of them two, or are you looking elsewhere?
It's a tricky one. Like, Nostrum obviously was well fancied last time out of York, but returned lame. Finished 6 of 6, unfortunately. But, he's back now. If he's A1, potentially, I think he's the one they all got to beat. I think he's the classiest one in here. However, I'm going to give a little go on North, I think. I just think, looking at his race last time, he finished 8th in Maidan, but there was all relatively, it was a close finish. I mean, there's about 4 lengths, I think, splitting 8th till 1st, somewhere around there. We were over 4 lengths. So I think even at 8, he's shown that he's still got that ability. It's a Group 2. It's around his distance. Yeah, he ran, I think, on the all-weather, didn't he? I think Military Order beat him, but I think that was 1 mile 3, which probably just isn't his trip. Buick comes up on for his first time on him. He's race fit compared to Nostrum. That's probably why I'd give him a slight edge. But yeah, I think it's between those two personally. And at the prices, I think I'll give a little squeak to Lord North. And if he drifts, I might even get an each way play. But yeah, Lord North for me, I think.
That's fair cop. I mean, I had a little bit of a look, and again, sticking with my sort of, I like to see him have a run. I was quite interested in that Shireen, even though I backed that Nostrum that day that he won at Newmarket off the bat last time out. I just thought this Shireen could progress a little bit more. I mean, just rechecking then, that form back at Ascot behind Paddington, that was on good ground over a mile. So, he obviously acts on the ground. That was a Group 1. If he's anywhere near that sort of form after he's on his second run, I'd be willing to give a little chance to him personally with good old Sylvester de Souza on. But yeah, not a strong opinion from me, but that was what the sort of line I was thinking when I had a little look at that race.
Good stuff.
Fantastic. Right
Richard,
then, Rich.
ready for the next one?
You what, Joe?
I said, Rich, have you got your cap ready for the next race?
Depends on him.
Yeah, so the 3:35 and the last race we're going to do on the Friday is the Classic Trial Group 3, 1 mile 2 furlong. Rich, I wonder who you're going for here. We have Arabian Crown is in here for the old boys in blue. Macduff, War Rooms at 7-1. Rimad at 15-2. Portland 9-1. 33-1. Bigger the rest. Go on then, Rich. Are you getting the cap out or no? I'm surprised you haven't got the gilet, the t-shirt.
Yes.
Tracky bottoms, the embroidered trainers. I love it. Look at that.
Not yet. We'll wait. we'll wait to see what wins the Guineas, won't we?
The cap is finally back.
Before we get those sort of purchases.
You know, the flat is definitely pretty much on the horizon when we see the cap finally out.
The plan is to eventually get the full Godolphin attire.
When there's a big Godolphin race next time, we'll do like a bit of a blue Godolphin theme going on. We'll get it going.
Well, the Guineas, they got two good shots, chances.
Yeah, true. Next week I'll do a fancy background for it then.
Yeah, Arabian Crown for me. I think he brings the best form. He won the Zetland last start at Newmarket very impressively. Obviously, conditions are going to be completely different here. It's not going to be as testing, but I just think he should be a class above these. Yeah, I like him a lot. I mean, I think he's about 12-1 for the Derby. I mean, if he wins this convincingly, that's going to half at least, I'd have thought. So if you do fancy him backing for the Derby as well, they've got some good chances. You know, we've got Ancient Wisdom, obviously. There's another one that could be aimed for the Derby, but I think he's going to go to the Guineas, one of the Guineas first. So, yeah, I just think Arabian Crown wins. I mean, he's no price, 5 to 6, I think, something like that. If you can get,
you can get evens.
You can get evens, yeah. I think that's still quite a good price, even though he's short. I just think he's class above these. I just think he's quality.
Fair enough, mate. The boys in blue, big day for you then tomorrow. Joe, are you siding with Rich, or are you going to take him on and break his heart and spoil his dreams?
No, I'm the same as Rich, to be honest. You know, in my opinion, should be unbeaten. You go back to his first run, how he didn't win that, I don't know, but he's just progressed every time. From 80 to 88 to 104 to 108 was his best run at Newmarket the last day. And, you know, you just know he learned a lot from there. Fair enough, you know, it wasn't a massive race, but Dan Buster won today. You know, Charlie Appleby's absolutely flying, which he wasn't really last season as much. You know, you couldn't want a better combination at the moment than Buick and Appleby, which for me is massive at the start of the season. You know, they've got the horses ready and they're out in force. If this is his Derby, you know, horse, which you'd believe so, if he's 12-1 without a run this season, you think they'd have him A1. Macduff, second favourite. You know, they've all been pretty well beaten in the last season. Even in listed races, you know, it's not bad form, but Al Musk beat Macduff. Warrooms was beaten by Dancing Gemini, I believe, at Donny over 7 furlong. You know, Arabian Crown for me is a class above. I think he's just going to progress this season. I genuinely can't see him beat. Genuinely can't. It's a brave thing to say, but I managed to get on 6-4 at the start of this week on Monday, and I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, it's a fair point. You know, it's a short favourite. It's a likely winner. I think if I were going to have a couple of quid, I'd probably just back Macduff each way. I think when these horses are coming from a 2-year-old season into a 3-year-old season, you just don't know what sort of way they're going to improve. And, you know, none of these have had a run apart from a couple of the outsiders. So I'm happy to watch Arabian Crown win, and I would just have a little fun each way on Macduff and see how it went on, to be honest. It's not a major betting race for me, but hopefully the boy in blue goes and wins for you lads. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Right, is that it for the flat, Rich, or do you want to talk about anything else on the Friday? Anything else you'd like to mention flat-wise on the Friday if you want? I'm just going to have to turn the light on.
There's a couple. Anything else? Yeah, so quickly, Sandown 115. Tan Rapido is one that I quite like.
You what? What?
Tan Rapido, I think it is. Something like that, maybe.
God, I thought I'd misheard you then.
Charlie Fellows, I've read somewhere that it's his dark horse to follow for the season. They reckon, well, they hope he's going to be better than his mark of 82. So he just needs to settle a little bit better than last time. He was quite keen. So I think he's quite a good price tomorrow. So it might be worth a little each way play. The 410 tomorrow at Sandown, there's Beatrice Schilling, I think it is. Second on debut at Leicester, over 1 mile. Looked like stepping up in trip was going to bring out some improvements. So that's one I'd like. I think, again, she might be 9-2, 5-1 maybe. You've got the last race in Sandown. There's 2 I like in here. It all depends on the ground. So I've got Goodwood Odyssey. I think he's currently the favourite. I think if it is softer conditions, I think this one is going to be suited by that. The other one I quite like is Dossier for Marco Botti. I think he's about 12s, 10 to 1, something like that. I think he needs good ground. If it is decent ground, I think he's worth a good each way shout. So they're two that I quite like. And then there's one at Doncaster in the 233 upscale, I think it is. Runs for Andrew Ball and Kevin Stotts on board. This filly actually finished second to Dance Sequence, who's one I quite like. Finished second in the trial at Newmarket last week. I think got beat by a short head and neck, something like that. Who's going to be contesting the 1,000 guineas? So I think she should be winning tomorrow. So they're the ones that I've got on the flat.
Fantastic. Make sure you got your notepads out there, guys, and you get those written down and see how those get on. Joe, have you got anything else you'd like to mention before we move on to the jumps finale at Sandown on Saturday?
And I am looking forward to that. But just to keep that to a halt for a second, one I do like is at 3:40 Doncaster tomorrow. Too Bossy for Us has had a fair bit of money in a short time. He's touching nearly 2 to 1 in places. Went off 40 to 1, 125 to 1 when the 2 completing on triers. And then last time out with Kempton was over a mile, still 16 to 1, but a bit, I wouldn't say more back, but, not as big. If you watch the race, he wasn't knocked about at all. He was held up in rear, come round the bend, given a little shake, and he closed nicely to come to third. And Billy Loughlin's on tomorrow. The money started flowing already. Up to 1 mile 2, handicap debut, off a mark of 76. For me, the way he's ran the first 3 races, come out at 40 to 1, 125 to 1, and 14 to 1. Now he's getting backed in. He opened up at 5 to 1, 3 to 1 best price. He's into 5 to 2 in certain places, 9 to 4. I think he's a cracking bet for tomorrow. And then the race after that in the 4:15, I do like Roger Varian's horse, the favourite, with Jack Mitchell on board. See the Stars filly. Landed a nice race at Southwell on the all-weather. It still looks very raw, but he done it easily last time. Went off pretty short, 11 to 8. That was 1 mile 3. He's back down to 1 mile 2. Handicap debut this time, a mark of 75. Again, I think he's miles better than a mark of 75. Fingers crossed he's improved, which I think he will have. And that's 2 for me. And one more I do like, I would give a small mention to, but it's not a massive bet, is Flying Finn Flying Finn in the last at Doncaster half-5. Won very, very easily at Ripon last week? 8 days ago it was, sorry. 8 days ago, and come for massive money then. He was 5 to 2 the night before. He went off 5 to 6. He won by about 7 lengths. Quickly turned out. Mark Wynn back on, taking 3 off. He was put up 6, but I don't think that's enough to stop him. Wouldn't surprise me again if he come in for money and bolted up, but obviously there's a few handicap debutants in here, so I wouldn't go massive, but he knows how to get his head in front. I feel like he's got a lot of work still in his mark.
I love that, mate. That's brilliant, lads. Some great insight there again. And like I say, if you aren't going to see it tonight, I'm sure the lads will be posting them up on Twitter and stuff. But some really good information there, lads. Thank you very much for those. Fingers crossed they can all run pretty well. And now as we move on to the jumps, finally.
Right, see you later.
Yeah, funny. Don't worry, mate. We're nearly finished. I mean, obviously, since Cheltenham, it does drop off a little bit. Aintree was pretty decent. We had some good winners there. We've got Sandown on Saturday, and then we've got Punchestown next week, and then the jumps are done, and then we'll be straight into the flat. But we've still got a little bit left to do, lads, so bear with me, if you don't mind. Right, so we're going to kick off on Saturday with the 225, talk about all the main races, and just have a little chin wag about them, basically. The Oaksey Chase, Grade 2, some very interesting prices in here before that, the post markets. Now there's been the declarations. Unfortunately, we have only got 7 runners, which kind of knocks out the each-way players, but the real whacker has settled down and as fafavourite.
We only need to talk about one horse, James, I think.
The second favourite is the mighty Hitman. Come on. Could it be his day? Easy Game is the shout for Mullins, looking to pick up a bit more prize money. Garlaw, Al Dancer, Fantastic Lady, Straw Fan, Jack. It's arrived, guys. It has arrived, the day of all days, and he has to win this for me, simply. And if he doesn't, well, I am going to cut all ties with him, but I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to be loyal to him. Hitman wins the Oaksy Chase. I think Real Wacker's just been a completely different animal this year, pulled up a couple of times. Hitman, now, I thought the run in the Ryanair was a little bit iffy, if I'm all honest. Bryony Frost was on board. For some reason, she kind of had him wide and almost trying to front run with him. And I don't really know what all that was about because for a start, he was way too wide. He only just stays sort of the 2.5 mile trip, never mind any further. So having him wide, he had no chance anyway. But I'm hoping that this is going to be his chance to finally shine. Like I say, just under 2 mile 6 furlong should be about right. Don't really stay any further than that. Once you're getting into your 3 mile plus, it's kind of a no-go. But I just think this one and this field, you got Easy Game in here who might give him something to worry about, but the rest to me are just not in the going to be able to get to Hitman. So I'm going to stick to my guns and let Hitman go and win this. Harry Cobden's back on board. He's obviously going for the jockey title. And I just think finally he's going to finally get his day in the sun once again. Richie smiling. Are you in agreement?
You know what? I am actually. He ran well in the Tingle Creek here, didn't he? Back in 2021, finishing second to, was it Guillotine? Was it that one, maybe? Like I say, he only finished 8th in the Ryanair, but...
Captain Guinness in behind that day as well.
Yeah. So he finished 8th in the Ryanair, like you said, was out wide most of it, not really ideal. He did beat the winner of the Ryanair, Protectorate, in the Denman Chase, won by Shishkin, which I thought was a good one. That was over 2 mile 7. Like you say, he just got outstayed that day by the better horse, the better stayer. Dropping down a furlong's going to suit. Like you say, there's no Shishkin in here, let's be honest with you. So, yeah, I think if he is going to win, it should be Saturday. Otherwise, yeah, your dream's gone, James.
Yeah, it's last chance alone, It's not really a massive betting race, so it's just a case of I'm going to stick with him and hope he goes and bolts up. So and get some more prize money for Nichols because he is going to have to try and claw something back. He's going to have any hope. He needs to be winning these races and hoping Mullins picks nothing up, basically. So what do you think, Joe?
To be fair, mate, I am in agreement. I think this trip's perfect. Like you say, it was a disappointing run at Cheltenham. But for me, I don't get what Bryony Frost was doing. She never really got him in a nice rhythm. He obviously wasn't the yards first string. Obviously, Stage Star was, the head of that, and I didn't really rate Bryony Foster's ride. The run before at Newbury was probably, one of his best. That was 2 mile 7.5 against Shishkin, who obviously we know now needs sort of, every yard of the distance he can get up to 3 mile, even a bit further. So, no, that wasn't a bad run at all. Protector at and behind, who ran a great race again at Aintree against, in behind John Bon. I just feel like Hitman's been, he has the odd disappointing run, but I feel like looking at this field here, the Real Whacker, the Real Whacker, Easy Game, Garlaw, out the 4 the top of the market. If you take out Hitman, the other 3 were pulled up in the last run. And you look at Nichols. Nichols needs it. He's running at a 22% strike rate in the last 14 days. Harry Cobden, he's riding out with his skin. They need this. They'll want this. I feel like it is genuinely theirs to lose. They're getting £3 off the Real Whacker. They're getting £6 off Easy Game. They're getting £4 off Garlaw. For me, I definitely think this is the perfect trip. Sandown, it's not a bad track for him. Pretty even. I think it's definitely Hitman's to lose, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he'll just about stay this trip here. I just think the field is, giving weight to him. It's the one way if he ain't going to win this, then it's just one of them, isn't it? But hopefully he goes and wins, and he has his big day in the sun. Right then, lads, we finally get the clash of all clashes that we kind of wanted in the early season, but we've only just managed to get it now. But the 3 o'clock, the Celebration of Chase, you've got El Fabiolo and A declare, John Bond second favourite, Edwardstone, Boot Hill, Editor de Gite, Nuba Negra, Elixir de Nuts. Joe, I'm going to come to you, mate. El Fabiolo was your captain for the Cheltenham previews. He obviously fumbled in the champion chase. John Bond then went and won easily next time out for himself. The clash now, mate. What are your thoughts? Is this where Mullins seals the trainer's title? Will Fabiola get around those railway fences?
I know. It is going to be tough, but in my opinion, I do think he wins this. I mean, John Bond, he did win nicely last time out. And when Harry come in, I heard Harry, I'm talking about Harry Skelton, Harry said, the favourites won easy there, talking about John Bond. But I just feel like he is going to be tapped for toe a bit. I mean, the run at Aintree, one stage he didn't look like he was closing on the leader, and then he just picked him up going to the last and just sort of carried on. I think El Fabiolo, we all knew, even going into Cheltenham, he can throw the odd scrappy jump in, and he's thrown it at a terrible time in the champion chase. He just turned away from the stands. You're going uphill, you're turning left. He's sort of out wide to the back of the field anyway. He's throwing a horrible jump, and I think Paul's he's obviously just thought, my race is done there. For me, if he gets over, he beats all these and he beats them all comfortably. The horses he's beat before, the horses John Bond's beat before. And yeah, I definitely think John Bond's more suited now up in trip. I think everyone was crying for it, weren't they? Obviously, we didn't see John Bond at Cheltenham due to Nicky's yard problems, and then he was sort of forced to get the step up in trip. Now everyone's seen him at that step up in trip. I think everyone was right, even though he was entitled to go for the championship if he was going to. But yeah, for me, I think El Fabiolo wins. However, I would not back him at 8-11, but I do think he wins.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in that sort of boat where, I've always been a big fan of El Fabiolo, but he does have the tendency to throw a little bit of an error in. Obviously, he did that at Cheltenham, but then at the same time, John Bond was showing those similar sort of characteristics, the race where he comes second. I can't remember who he comes second to now. Was it Elixir? Sunday, wasn't it?
Elixir
when he made a couple of shocking errors. So,
yeah.
They're both, El Fabiolo coming in with a bit of a cloud over him. It is a pretty tough jumping test, his Sandown. I mean, again, I'm with you there, Joe. I won't be backing him myself at odds on. I'd rather just sit back and watch the race and see how it unfolds because, John Bond dropping back in trip, he were really good last time. It's just a really nice clash to finally get, and it's kind of hopefully going to put a little bit of a season-long debate to bed, I think, because if somebody goes and wins well, then obviously it'll be really good to see. But yeah, I think, if I really pushed for a selection, I probably would stick with El Fabiolo because I do think he's an absolute beast. But then again, he's got to get around. The jumping's the aim of the game. It's going to be tough, but I'm just really excited to see it, to be honest, Rich. What about yourself, mate?
Yeah, kind of in agreement. I think El Fabiolo is the best horse, the one to beat. But like you say, it's all about getting round. He's always had an error in him, and he's got away with it and been fine until when it really mattered, the champion chase. So yeah, like you say, that's the only issue I've got. If he does throw in a bad jump,
it didn't even look like a silly error. It just took off too early, didn't he? And went through it.
To be fair, like I say, I think it was emphasised because I didn't realise the Cheltenham Hill. I've never been before, but when you leave the stands and you go to that, the fence that sort of goes uphill, it is pretty steep. And he's made the error there, and I just think it was made 10 times worse because he's going uphill. He's obviously had to completely regather him by that stage. Champion chase to go off like the clappers, don't they?
I mean, John Bond is unbeaten at Sandown. I mean, he won the Tingle Creek, the Celebration Chase, the Henry the Eighth Chase, Novice Chase. So he's got a fine record. My only concern will be it's 15 days since Aintree. That would be my only worry. But like you say, not really a betting race for me. I will just happily sit on the fence and watch it all unfold. To be fair, I can't see anything else getting in. I don't see Edwardstone. Ability-wise, I don't think he gets close to these. But like you say, anything can happen. One bad jump from either of them, and it could let something else in. But Yeah, I think El Fabio is the best horse. If he gets round, he wins. If he does have an error, John Bond will be there probably to sweep up.
Yeah, let's just hope they both jump the last together and we get a battle and we get a really good race of it. So fingers crossed, boys. They both get round safe and it's a good race. Right then, the Bet365 Gold Cup Handicap Chase, Premier Handicap. This is 3 mile, 4.5 furlongs at 3:35. Now, this is a really nice, well, very tasty handicap race to dissect. We've got Kitty's Light, who's currently in his favourite, who was a really admirable 5th in the Grand National. So interesting to see how that horse backs up. Amarit, Lamilos, Nick Rocket's in here. Obviously, Willie Mullins is throwing a few at this. He's got Nick Rocket in here. Manila Kakuna's in here. Has he just got the 2 in here? Sorry. You got any more in there? No. Oh, yeah. Amy Deji is in here as well. So we've got 3 darts at it. And sort of bigger the rest. Rich, what are your thoughts on this race, mate? There's one I'm kind of looking at, but I suppose the one I'm thinking is a little bit. I wouldn't mind it being good ground. It's currently good ground now. Apparently they've been watering it, and then thinking there's going to be no rain, and now they are due some rain. So for this race, I'd definitely be waiting to the day to back anything just to check on the ground. But what are you thinking before we move on to that?
I mean, there's one here that likes good ground that I probably would back each way. Is Kiondo Cueto, but whether or not he's got the quality to win, to beat some of these is another question. So, like I say, I'm going to wait to see what the ground's like for that one. Manila Kakuna is the one I do like for this, for the Mullins. 3rd in the Irish Grand National, won by intense raffles. That was on heavy, so if they do get some rain, it does get a bit testing. He's going to love that. He's very unexposed at this sort of trip. Danny Mullins is on. Did Danny Mullins win the Scottish National? Was he the one that won?
He did, yeah. Macasson, I forgot his name now.
Macduff.
Yeah,
No,
so I mean,
Macduff's that flat horse yesterday, innit? It's
McDermott or something, wasn't it?
McDermott, were it? Yeah, McDermott.
So yeah, for me, he's the one I'm going to have a little go at, and I'm going to turn a light on.
Go on then, Joe. Have you had a look at the race, mate? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've had a look, mate, and I'm the same as you, really. I would prefer to wait till the day. I do think Rich has a great shout with Manila Kakuna. He always jumps well, but especially in the Irish National. One I did like, to be fair, but after watching the Irish National back, I'm not too sure. It was Nick Rocket. I know Mullins spoke about him pretty highly. And, there was talk of him going into graded races, going into Cheltenham. Obviously, they took him to the Irish National instead. He didn't really fire. He wasn't fluent. He didn't jump well. And if you don't jump well in an Irish National, certain races you can get away with it, but a well-contested race, you don't jump one fence well, you lose 3-4 lengths. It's hard to make back. You get shuffled back in the pack. And all of a sudden, your race is gone. However, Willie's here. Willie wants money. Paul Townend's on. You can just never write them off. For me, siding with one, it probably would be Manila Kakuna at this stage. He ran so well in that race. Hasn't sort of had the best of results. He's won a favourite the last 3 times before the Irish National, and sort of, not won or not fired or bumped into one. But then again, I do really like Nick Rocket. If you can forgive his last run, I know he finished second, but he finished, I think it was 13 length in front of Manila Kakuna. We know Willie will have his A1 for this. However, it would be great to see Kitty's Light win, for the story and for connections. If I was to nail one horse to my colours now, a few days out, it would be Nick Rocket.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. Like I say, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love Kitty's Light to win. Like I said, the backstory there is incredible, and hopefully, he goes really well. He did a great run in the Grand National. It was fantastic to watch. I thought the Grand National were a good watch, me personally. I know they made the changes. People, some don't like it, some do. I just thought it were a much better watch than the year before, but we won't get into that. Like Rich said then, one I quite like, that Kiondo Cueto always seems to run good races, and I think if it is genuinely good ground, he'd be a decent each way punt, obviously getting the extra places. Similar to the lads, believe it or not, but of the Mullins trio, Manila Kakuna would have been the one I quite like. I always think Danny Mullins is very underrated, and I think if he gets...
was it Sean O'Keefe or didn't one of the Irish jockeys that we got on tip Miller Kakuna for the RSA or the Browns?
Yeah, I was thinking that, you know, and I was going to mention it. That's why I said, but I did. Oh,
Yeah,
Well,
Sean Flanagan won it. Sean Flanagan.
I think it was,
Sean Flanagan, yeah. I was just about to check my books. I've got literally every note that any jockey said that we've had on.
But yeah, Miller Kakuna, like I say, it's kind of unexposed at the trip, so we'll see how he gets on. And then the only other one that kind of had a little bit of a big price, 33s at the moment. Sam Brown, 12-year-old, but been running really well lately. Won at Ascot over 3 mile, good ground. Sort of on his second go at this sort of trip. Did pull up when he did it last time. It wasn't heavy ground, so if it's decent ground, I'd maybe give him a squeak. What's his name? Jumps back on. Oh, Freddie Gidnall's on, taking 5 off. So just it's one of them, you know. Each way plays in a massive field, distance race. It's always tough, but some nice
distance bet. Were you saying there, James?
Yeah. What do I call him? Sam Brown by 10 lengths.
Oh.
At 582 to 1. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, those would be mine. But I do quite like Miller Kakuna. I don't know. I don't think Mullins. He's the one out of the Mullins ones I'd go for. But if I'm going to pick one, I'd give Canendo quite one more go if it's good ground. But we shall see. But yeah, fingers crossed. Kitty's Lights goes on with because the story is brilliant. But yeah, we shall see. Right, boys. One more to go then, I believe. And it's another very tasty race. Obviously, we're going to finish on the 410 at Sandown. We'll probably talk a little bit about Aintree as well if you want while we're on the topic. But it's the Select Hurdle Grade 2 on Perry Pass. Aintree winner is in here currently at evens. Langadan, obviously, blowing the handicap mark completely out of the water last time out. And we'll talk about that. Bally Adams in here. So Gerhard makes the trip over. Blue King de Roe, Brewing Up a Storm, Botox Haas, and Call Me Lord. First question then to either of you, whoever wants to jump in. What did you make of the Aintree race and Langadan suddenly becoming a 160 plus horse after winning the Coral Cup off 1-4, whatever it was?
Who'd have thought he could improve that much at his current age?
he's literally improved like £20 in a go there. I mean,
in my opinion,
sure that they just knew what they were doing.
He just loves the spin ground, doesn't he? Loves the spin ground.
In my opinion, because the ground was soft going. In my opinion, did they have him fully fit for Cheltenham? They definitely left a lot on the bone because a horse doesn't improve, £20 after winning at Cheltenham 3 lengths. What a run! I thought he was going to win, and I tell you what, it would have been some story that.
He won. He won the Coral off 141. He's now rated 160.
Imagine if they tried to. Imagine next season his first race out if he comes dead last and they say nosebleed.
Well, now the thing is, now we've got to hunt for the next sort of handicapper that's maybe run well this year that suddenly starts dropping in. I think I saw somebody mention that Leo de Sud could be one that they maybe
West Balboa.
Or West Balboa, yeah, and horses like that. I was going to keep an eye out for him, but yeah, it is pretty funny that he's won the Coral off that, and then he's now rated £19 higher. But again, going back to the Aintree race, me personally, my personal view on this was, I think the result should have stood, and I'm glad that all money aside. I didn't have a big bet on it, so it's not like I'm chuffing. Seeing all the money or whatever, but me personally, I felt like Imperial Pass had already gone past. Chuffing on, my mind's gone blank. Bob Bollinger before he was in front of him when he jumped that hurdle, and then he'd already gone past Langadan when he went over to the rail. And the only reason why he didn't hamper them coming at him, once he'd gone past, then he got tired and then they gained on him. So I was happy that. They kept the result the same. You obviously think different, Rich, probably because you're back Langadan. But yeah, I think the result should have stood. It was a fair race, and them two going at it again would be interesting. But I'm wondering if you're maybe siding somewhere else in this race.
Langadan was robbed last time out.
He weren't robbed. Did he come third?
He came third, but shorter room, switching left, right, and centre because Imperial Pass was coming right across him.
Yeah, there's nothing in the rules that says once he's passed, he can't go over to the rail.
Him,
Do you know what I mean?
Eventually, he got past him.
It was half a length past.
It was just some performance to watch Langadan throw it up to these group horses. I just thought it was great. Do you know what?
Yeah, I thought he was going to fall away at one point, and then he just come again.
I think Langadan reverses the form personally. In all seriousness, I mean, he gets £2. It was off level weights last time out. He gets £2 off Imperial Pass. Like you say, it was a bit of a messy race near the end. He was short of room, switching left, right, horses interfering with other horses, etc. Blah blah blah. I think he does reverse the form. In all seriousness, I mean, Skeleton obviously is going for the trainers title. Let me just see how much is this race worth. Where is it next one?
45 grand.
45 grand. I mean, it's a decent whack. I think Langadan's going to be primed and ready for some more improvement. Another couple of pounds to get out of him. But I have a soft spot for Sir Gerhard, and he's back over the Ballymore trip of 2 miles, 5 furlongs. Obviously, he didn't stay the 2.7 come up the hill at Cheltenham. He gets weight off Langadan and Imperial Pass. Obviously, he went chasing, did not work. But he was a good hurdler for novice in his novice campaign. He's not ran over this trip many times, but when he has, I think he's won. Sandown is a easier track, I'm led to believe. I think. Don't take my word on that, but yeah, I think he's a good price. I think he's about 9s. Is he 8s or 9s?
Yep.
I just think against the top of the two of the market, I would be having a little each way play on to Gerhard, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm in the same boat as you. I would believe in Imperial Pass and Langadan me. I think Imperial Pass obviously only just clung on to that. A little bit better ground might be a little bit better, but coming off the back of that run, I think it might be tough for both of these. And I can see one of them, if not both of them, maybe even bombing out. The amount of effort that's gone into that race, ended up being one of the races of the year. Can they both back it up? Can Langadan back it up? Will be my question mark. Big time, to be honest, at this level for the second time. And I just thought Sir Gerhard comes in here a little bit fresher. Having won over at Cork pretty easy enough, so he's going to be bang right for this. The only slight downside is that he's got the old Patrick Mullins penalty on him. But I think if he's anywhere near, he obviously stays this trip well. This is kind of his ideal 2.5 mile, just over is kind of the ideal for him. Like I say, there he's won on it the couple of times he's run on it. I'm surprised that he's not been running at this trip more than he has done. But yeah, I just think I'm happy to leave Imperial Pass. It was about evens now. It's very short indeed. I've never really been a fan of Langadan because I just think it's one of them. So I'd rather leave him. And I think just on decentish ground, I'd like to think it's going to be that good to soft. And I thought with a bit of rain, maybe it might get to soft. I don't know, but I think Sir Gerhard comes in a little bit fresher. So I'm happy to go each way with him at sort of 9-1. And I'm not too fussed about the rest of them personally. So what about you, Joe?
Well, I completely agree. You look at the top two, 16 days till he had the last run. Both of them, ran brilliant races, but it wasn't, a soft finish for both of them. It took a lot out of them. Imperial Pass, who, apart, if you wipe his last run off, he's been, albeit disappointing this season, very disappointing, compared to, the way he was talked up by the camp. Langadan improved so much from his Cheltenham run, they'll have had him prime for that. Can he improve again? It's going to be so tough. One way I was sort of trying to look into it was Ballyadam. Didn't jump well at all, but when you do look, I know you only come, was it 2 lengths behind or 3 lengths behind Langadan, and he was giving him weight, but to give him to have to jump better, and he's still going to have to improve, 12, 13 pound is just bizarre, And then you are into Sir Gerhard, who's got a brilliant record round here. Round this distance. Like Rich said, the one for me, I know he hasn't been talked about much at all, really, and rightly so. But nothing's really clicked for him. And I'd probably say these are his perfect conditions. you're probably going to get decent ground 2 mile 5. You know, that 3 mile tacky ground, Cheltenham won't have suited at all. You know, he's coming in here with a real chance. One that did strike my eye, and I only looked at him really because I heard Paul Nicholls mention him and say it's his best chance of the week. Now, how many times have we heard a jockey say, "Oh, this is my best chance of the week"? And, you know, it definitely isn't, and the horse comes nowhere. But Blue King Doro in this race, I mean, the Ascot Long Walk was 3 mile and a half. 3 mile, half a furlong. The first time he tackled it, he was keen all the way around. The race before that was at Ascot as well, the Coral Hurdle, over 2 mile, 3.5, and he beat Strong Leader by a length. Strong Leader's got him boosted that form, albeit over 3 mile. But, you know, he was a 2 mile horse before this, and he always looked like he needed a step up in trip. You know, Cheltenham, the Long Walk didn't really suit, but, you know, 20-1 here. I definitely think there's holes in the top 2. I think you're so much better going in each way price. And I think for me, Sir Gerhard, and I'll have a small stake bet on Blue King Doro. But I can definitely see one of the top 2 blowing out. You know, never mind one of them. Sorry, never mind the 2. But I could see it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Love it, right? Love it, lads, right?
I think that's the mad thing as well. If Ballyadam runs to how he has been, because I feel like he's not the Langer Dan of pulled up, win off 140 or 115 or 150 or whatever he was off. Ballyadam's consistently second, first, third, second, third. So he's always in about that level. So for me, I mean, looking through his form, you can sort of write him off. He's 151. He needs to improve £10. I think you've got you could have an easy way into the race at a big price.
Agree, mate. Yeah, like I say, I think there's definitely some each way value in that race, and we'll see how it all unfolds. Right, boys, have you lads got anything else you'd like to mention for Saturday or Sunday or anything like that? Or are we all good to go?
No, that's me.
Lovely. Right, boys, that's it for the Sandown preview. It's obviously the flat and jumps finale. Well, flat semi-kick-off for them and the jumps finale. But like I said, fingers crossed we can get some winners through the weekend. Obviously, we had a good, successful one last time, so fingers crossed that can happen. We will have some information up about Punchestown next week and the Guineas big flat kickoff, so watch out on our Twitters for that. If you do watch, please do like the video and subscribe. We do appreciate it. We're on our way to 700 subscribers, which is mental. We're going to the flat, but we're going to have pretty much 2 shows a week. We've got some good plans for the show itself, so fingers crossed we can put them together and we can put on a good show for you guys like we did through the jumps. Lads, have you got anything else you'd like to say before we shoot off?
No, just to top you off, really. You know, I've loved, as we are slowing down into the jumps, you know, it is a slow sort of period. You know, you're not seeing many podcasts getting videos up and stuff because the racing hasn't been as great over this sort of crossover period, but yeah, I can't wait for sort of to finish off with a flat, you know, get Punchestown out of the way. Then we're into the main of the flat season where you've got the Guineas, the classics, you know, where hopefully we'll be getting there. We'll be there. I know you'll be at Pontefract every week tipping up winners.
Trying to.
So yeah, no,
but we'll get there.
I can't wait, to be honest. You know, to be fair to me, I'll be at a lot of smaller flat meetings, Thirst, Grip and stuff like that. So I'll try and get some stuff as well.
Just need a bit of sun, don't we? That's what we want. A bit of sun.
I know.
A little bit of sun, a little bit of Pims, a little bit of champagne, and we're putting the Guinness away now for 6 months. We're getting out the Pims and champagne instead.
Are you going to put the comment up or?
Yeah, John's just jumped on there. Good show, boys, and a nice little win for Apple away yesterday. Yeah, John, mate, well done. Congratulations.
I know we do knock her, don't we? But it was she won well. Was it Perth?
Yeah, I would say we knock her too. Well, we do knock her a little bit, but she is a very good horse, and I'm really happy to see Connections get a win there for her, and a really good performance for her, John. So cheers for tuning in, mate, and hopefully she's got another big season under her belt ready for next season. Right. That's us. Thanks again, lads. And like I say, we'll be back next week for Punchestown and the flat kickoff. So like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all then. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good evening and good night.
See you later.